Good afternoon. Afternoon ko na nire-record ko. G11 Marble and G11 Line. This will be your second lecture for this week actually. This will concern the continuations of what we have discussed from the things that we have discussed before. Okay, so you already have a copy of your modules, and basically you can look at your modules for further reference with regards to the things that I am going to discuss. Again, if you have questions, you can always ask me through our GCs, and I will respond to you as soon as possible. But remember, I am going to entertain questions only between 8 to 5. Utang na loob, wag niyo akong i-message ng alas 10 ng gabi, hindi ko kayo papansinin. And also Saturday and Sunday. Dala tayo sa weekdays, okay? Or at least doon sa time that are dedicated to us, doon sa schedule na binigay ko sa inyo, okay? So again, concerns, doon lamang tayo sa ating GC. So for continuation, we will be talking about the total quality management. So TQM actually is one of the latest management principle that had been developed. Okay, so what is total quality management? It is a management philosophy that focuses on the satisfactions of customer, their needs and expectation. But basically, total quality management simply talks about the quality nung mga produktong ginagawa natin so that after natin yung maibenta kay customer, they will have full satisfactions from buying and spending ng pera nila, ng kanilang hard-earned money through a product that you are offering. Okay? Kasi with a very good quality, basically you are going to attract added customers, and sometimes repeat customers happens simply because nasatisfy sila sa unang bili nila, so uulit sila, diba? Okay, so this concept is basically introduced by W. Edwards Deming. Huwag niyo akong tanongin ano yung W. Search nyo. From 1900 to 1993, and Joseph M. Juran from 1904 to 2008. They are quality experts with regards to TQM. However, the Japanese are the first to experiment on the concept of TQM. Hindi pinapansin yung konsepto ng TQM before, yung principles ng TQM before, but the early practitioners of TQM were the Japanese. Sila yung unang nag-adapt, and then at the same time they experimented on it. Okay? So these are the 14 points of the Demings for the top management. So number 1, you need to create constancy of purpose daw for the improvement of products and services. So ibig sabihin, it is always important that people from the top level management have well-defined purpose and should have a periodic activity kung paano papagandahin, kailan dapat maglagay ng magbago, kailan dapat maglagay ng innovation sa isang produkto so that you are keeping your customer excited with what you are offering. Say Facebook for example. Si Facebook, constantly meron niyang bagong binibigay paunti-unti, pa isa-isa, at least you get your customer engaged kasi meron kang laging bagong ibinibigay kasi kay customer so that yung customer engagement tuloy-tuloy. Hindi yung tipong nagbigay ka ng isang produkto, 10 years na, wala ka pang bagong inilalagay sa produkto na yon. Your customers are going to grow bored and basically they are not going to buy anymore your product simply because pare-pareho na lang yung ino-offer mo. Diba? And then next is adapt the new TQM philosophy so that they will have better ideas on how to improve quality. And then C is dependence on mass inspection. Huwag na raw yung una kumakain siya ng malaking time. Kung lahat ng produkto na yan na inilalabas natin, iniisa-isa nating tingnan. Dapat we can do it in random or at the same time we need to ensure na tama yung ginagawa nila so that if we inspect it in random, alam natin na eksakto sa kung anong company requirement yung ginagawa ng ating mga tao. Okay? And then end practice of awarding business based on price tag. Okay? Tigilan na raw yung pag-award ng business based on price tag. Kapag daw mas mahal yung isang produkto, ibig sabihin daw mas maganda ang quality. That doesn't necessarily follow, although meron tayong mentality na ganyan, di ba? And then constantly improve the system of production. Kung dati mano-mano, nakita natin robotics is good, nakita naman natin purchasing of mechanized equipment is good. Bakit hindi tayo sumabay? Kasi habang nagpapahuli tayo, naroon din yung risk na mahuhuli tayo when it comes to getting or gaining more profit, di ba? And then institute training, always train your people. Lagi mong sasanayin yung mga tao una sa mga dapat nilang ginagawa at the same time sa mga bagong kailangan nilang matutunan so that they will also have an improved performance. Okay? And then adapt and institute leadership. When we say adapting and instituting leadership, dapat daw whoever is leading these people, siya yung may pinakamalawak na knowledge on how to improve production, on how to improve quality, and how to improve processes. And then, drive out fear. Lagi tayong gustong magpaka-safe. So, ibig sabihin, tanggalin natin yung fear, sumubok tayo ng bago so that our customer will also get excited with that new things that we will be offering. Okay? So, next is break down barriers between stock areas. Minsan kasi merong mas magagandang idea yung mga tao sa baba, pero dahil nasa baba sila, hindi sila pinapakinggan. Why not we try to listen from these people? Especially that these people are the frontliners. Sila yung direktang humaharap kay customer. So, ibig sabihin, they have a vast knowledge. Ano pa ba ang gusto ni customer? And then, eliminate slogans. Focus on correction of defects in the system. Huwag yung lagi kang may panawagan na tayo ay magiging pinakamagaling. Dahil tayo may galing, tayo ay matatalino. No, that doesn't really follows, di ba? Tigilan na daw natin yan. Sa TQM concept daw, dapat instead we create slogans, instead that we motivate people by following a slogan. Dapat we motivate them by ensuring the correct actions na ginagawa nila by checking yung quality ng produktong ginagawa nila or yung output na ginagawa nila. And then eliminate numerical quota. Although nangyayari pa rin yan sa panahon ngayon. But when we talk about numerical quota kasi, ang nangyayari is people or your employee will be very conscious about the numbers. So what really happens is kahit hindi na maganda yung ginagawa nila, basta maka-hit sila ng target, basta ma-achieve nila yung isinet ng top management na quota, gagawin nila. Pero ang question, paano naman si quality? Okay? And then remove barriers that trap people of pride of workmanship. Sometimes kasi, nandiyan si Ma'am Beltran. Ayan. Ayan. Marble and lime si Ma'am Beltran yan. Sometimes kasi, di ba, ang nakaisip yung mga tao sa baba, pero ang nagtitake ng credit, yung mga tao sa taas, di ba? And if that happens, darating yung punto na ayaw na nilang mag-suggest, mag-innovate ng kanilang performance because you don't recognize them. You recognize kung sino ang dapat i-recognize. Okay? And then encourage education and self-improvement. It is always important to train. It is always important to send people to seminars, to workshop. It is also important to encourage your people to further education supported by the company so that they will be using what they have learned from an outside training para sa benefit ng kumpanya. And then take actions daw to accomplish the transformation. Huwag kang nananaginip lang. kailangan pag may gusto kang mangyari, gumagalaw ka para yung mga bagay na gusto mong ma-achieve ng company will be achieved through actions. Hindi yung gusto mo ng ganito, wala ka namang ginagawa para mangyari yan. So, according to Juran naman, these are the fitness of quality. Okay? Number 1, you have there the quality of design through market research daw, product and concept. Tingnan natin ano yung pinakamagandang raw materials na gamitin, ano yung pinakamagandang production processes na i-adapt, ano yung pinakamagandang equipment and technology na pwede natin i-adapt. Yun ang kukunin natin kasi when we do that, we will be assured of a high quality products na i-offer natin sa market. And then next is quality of conformance through management, manpower, and technology. When we talk about conformance, the top management designs, the top management create the processes, and basically you also need to ensure that these designs and these processes are followed through by the rank and file people, especially the production people. Okay? And then availability through reliability, maintainability, and logistic support. Yan. Isa sa pinaka-importanting aspekto ng total quality management is availability. Kung halimbawa, nagbebenta ako ng magandang produkto. Coca-Cola sa Holo-Sulu. Okay? Coca-Cola is available in Holo-Sulu. But the problem is dumating sa punto na nagka-problema ang ating logistics, merong mga nasirang tulay, hindi ako makakapag-deliver ng Coke sa Holo-Sulu for like 3 months. Okay? Now, remember that in the absence of a product, the substitute comes in. Baka pagdating na pwede niyang mag-deliver ulit, hindi na kayo yung priority, hindi na kayo yung gusto kasi na-satisfy na sila doon sa substitute na natikman nila. Diba? So it is not acceptable in business that you do not make your product available or you are making an excuses for the inavailability of the product. You need to ensure that whenever it is needed, it is always present. Okay, next is full service. Hindi yan support, full service. Through promptness, competence, and integrity. Ayan daw. Sometimes the customers feel valued if lahat ng kanilang concern, whether it is a trivial questions or a very important findings with regards to your product, kapag ina-assist niyo sila, they find important, they feel valued, and at the same time, they will become loyal customers. Okay? Again, for your questions, doon lang tayo sa GC natin. Okay? So, still with Juran's Quality Roadmap. So, you need to identify your customers. So, when we say identifying our customers, sino-sino yung customer natin? Ano-ano ang kanilang social class? Sila ba ay class A, B, C, D? Okay? And then, yung kanilang educational background, demographics, yung kanilang, even the gender is also an aspect in identifying your customer. Yung age, kasi halimbawa, yung mas bata, teenagers, yung mga nasa middle age, yung mga medyo may edad. Yung weight din daw, sabi ni Ma'am Beltran. Usually, yung product preference magkakaiba. Brand preference magkakaiba according to age, di ba? And even according to sex. Sa babae, sa lalaki, magkakaiba. So, you need to exactly know sino yung customer mo. Okay? So that you will be able to understand your customer and produce a product that will fit exactly their needs. Okay? And then, ayan na yung second, determine their needs. Kasi, if you do not determine their needs, gawa ka ng product, naisip mo, maganda yung produkto mo, pero ang tanong, kailangan ba nila? Diba? Hindi magiging profitable ang isang business if you decide for your customer. Okay? You always must consider your customer wants, your customer needs, and you provide it to them. Kapag walang demand, walang bibili sa'yo. Okay? And then translate them into one's language. So, ibig sabihin, you understand them and then you talk to them in a way that they communicate according to age, according to their social status. Kung mapapansin ninyo, may pagkakaiba kung papaano kinakausap ni Smart at ni Globe si customer. Papansin niyo yan. Si Globe, mostly Tagalog, mostly mababa, mostly pangmasa. Ay, no, si Smart. Si Smart, mostly Tagalog, ang kanyang commercial, mostly mababa.
Ibig sabihin pangmasa ako?
Yes.
What?
Samantalang si Globe, kung mapapansin ninyo, ang kanyang commercial is mostly in English. Diba? Kasi ang lagi niya sinasabi, ang ating customer is coming from the A and B social status, di ba? Ganun yun. Hindi siya halos nagtatagalog. Okay? Kung mapapansin ninyo, Coca-Cola, kung mapapansin ninyo si Coca-Cola, laging mataas yung level ng delivery ng kanyang communication kay customer. Bakit? Pinaninindigan niya na siya yung pinaka-market leader, pinakamagaling, pinakamaganda, pinakamasarap doon sa industry na yon. Okay? You need to talk to your customers the way you wanted to deliver or to project your company. Okay? Next, develop a product that can respond to needs. Again, balik tayo to sa pangalawa. Kung walang demand, your product will not be bought, walang bibili niyaan, walang magpapatronize niyaan. Okay? Develop processes which are able to produce those product features. Okay, dyan napapasok. Are we going to automate? Are we going to mechanize? Bibili ba, magro-robotics ba tayo sa production natin? Kasi ganito karami ang may demand ng ating produkto. Kung hindi naman, huwag niyong gagawin. Lalo na kung small scale yung inyong production, hindi niyo kailangan ng malaking maramihang equipment, hindi ganon kataas ang demand. You do not spend too much because you spend according to the demand of your product lang. Next, prove that processes can produce the product. This is actually the reasons with total quality management kung bakit meron tayong tinatawag na product presentation and product testing. Bakit? Kasi we need to prove to the higher-ups na yung ating process can actually cater to the exact demand of our customer. At the same time, we can deliver as expected ni customers, not only on quality, but also to the timeliness kung kailan sila kailangan. Okay? And then transfer the resulting plans to the operating forces. This is also concern of the top-level managers na kailangan nilang i-orient, kailangan nilang i-assign, kailangan nilang i-develop yung kanilang mga tao so that these people will have knowledge and skills that are exactly required in the production processes. Question, doon tayo sa GC, ha? Okay, moving on. So, sana lahat marunong mag-move on. Organizational behavior, actually yung total, balikan lang natin, yung total quality management is one semester subject kapag nag-college kayo if you're going to take a business course, di ba? Pero dito, hinahapyawan lang natin. Okay? May computation pa yan pagdating sa college. Okay, so let's move on to another field which is organizational behavior. Okay? So organizational behavior daw, it involves the study of conduct, demeanor, or action of people at work. Remember, sa isang kumpanya, pagsasama-samahin mo yung mga tao galing sa different classes, different backgrounds, different background ng family, different culture, etc. But hindi sila pwedeng magdala ng ugali na gusto lang nila. Kailangan nilang mag-act, kailangan nilang kumilos sa loob ng kumpanya according to the company's expectation. And basically, it is your role as a leader of an organization to ensure that proper control are in place. And if in cases of violations, there are certain penalties that will be imposed and sanctioned to those violators. Okay? So, organizational behavior, nako-conscious ako. Organizational behavior requires, number one, leading. Okay, so dapat daw, a leader should be charismatic in a way na hindi pa niya ini-impose, sinusunod na siya. Okay? And at the same time, it requires team building so that people understand each other and realizes the importance of working together. And then it also requires resolving conflict. Hindi naiiwasan yan sa isang organization that conflict arises dahil nga sa kanilang individual differences, but it is the duty of the top level management to resolve conflicts in a way that people will realize hindi nila kailangan maging close, hindi nila kailangan maging magkakaibigan talaga, but they need to work together. Diba? So pagtapos ng uwian, huwag na kayong magpansinan. Pwede naman yon. Pero pag nasa loob ng kumpanya mga tao ninyo, hindi pwedeng dahil galit ako sa isa, hindi ako gagawa or hindi ako magbibigay ng output ko. Hindi pwede yun. Remember, binabayaran ang mga tao to perform a specific task. Therefore, it is non-negotiable that they perform the task. Okay? So, Robert Owen, Mary Parker Follett, and Hugo Monsterberg, and Chester Bernard are early supporters of the organizational behavior approach in an organization. During the 1700s, this was proposed by Owen, while Mary Parker Follett, parang sa Spider-Man introduced that groups must also be considered sa decision-making in an organization. Like for example, the group interest must be considered when coming up with a very hard decision in the company. Hindi pwedeng it is always for the benefit of the people in the top level management. Bakit? You have to realize that the people at the rank and file level are not just mere employees but also partners in the growth of the organization. That is why you also need to consider them, di ba? This is actually the argument of Mary Parker Follett. While during the 1930s, Hugo Monsterberg proposes the administration of psychological test. Sa lahat daw ng magiging empleyado, dapat dumadaan ng psychological test. Kasi sometimes, if you have mental issues, it comes in the performance with your work na naapektuhan. Hindi lang yung performance mo, kundi yung buong kumpanya. Okay? Again, for questions, you can always ask me through our GCs. Okay, moving on again, the function, roles, and skills of a manager. But first, let us understand who is the manager. Manager is an individual engaged in the management of activities of a business entity, whether for profit or non-profit. Basically, the manager leads the organization and hindi niya lang minamanage yung tao. Okay? That is just part of the duty. You manage the people, you manage the behavior of your people, you manage the career path of your people, pero parte lang yan ng pagiging manager. But being a manager in an organization also requires that person or that individual to manage the whole company resources. Lahat ng level ng manager has an exclusive task of managing the company resources according to the respective functions. Kasi marami namang managers, di ba? Like you have the supervisor is also a team manager. The department manager is a manager. The higher level manager is also a manager, but with a different concern, di ba? But basically, they are all tasked with an exclusive role of managing well yung resources ng company. Okay? Finances, inventory, equipment, tao, lahat yan, that is your concern if you are a manager. Okay, so the manager roles and functions, this is actually group in 3 levels. The frontline or lower level managers. So this is also known as the operational managers, who are responsible for supervising the day-to-day. Remember that operative word, day-to-day activities of the organization, meaning mas maliit. we are talking about the supervisors. Si supervisors, tinitingnan niya ano yung ginagawa ng mga tao niya on a daily basis. Tama ba ang ginagawa ng mga taong ito? And if in cases of problem, these frontline and lower level managers intervene doon sa performance ng mga tao. Okay? We also have the middle level managers. They are also known as the tactical managers who are in charge of the organization, middle level, or departments. They formulate specific objectives and activities based on the strategic goals and objective developed by the top level managers. They actually serve as the bridge between the rank and file, front and line level managers and the top level managers. Sila yung nag-execute ng mga plans. Plano lang ang gagawin ni top levels, but they are going to break it down into specific activities so that these plans achieve its goals. Yun yung trabaho ni middle level managers. Hindi ko titingnan yung pang araw-araw, although at times may pagkakataon na titingnan ko yan, but basically, my task as a middle level managers does not include supervising the day-to-day performance of the employees, but the achievement of the organizational goals set by the top-level managers. Okay? Whereas, the top-level managers are also known as corporate managers. They perform general and strategic managers who focus on long-term organizational concerns and emphasize the organization's stability, development, progress, and overall efficiency and effectiveness. Usually, the top level managers are concerned in the business expansion, making partnership with other possible investors or business partners, and then at the same time, they are responsible in designing corporate policies. They are also concerned in coming up with strategic and tactical plans so that this will be passed through to the middle level managers for execution. Sila yung nag-shape at nag-drive ng buong direksyon ng isang kumpanya, the top level managers. But don't be confused. Sir, paano po yung nakikita kong business dito sa Teresa Rizal? Wala naman po silang top-level managers. Of course, depende ang complexity ng isang business organization, ang complexity ng kanyang hierarchy ay depende rin sa kanyang size, di ba? Sometimes you eliminate the middle-level managers, you just have a frontline and lower-level managers. Wala rin tayong top-level managers. But for a more complex operations, hanggang top-level managers meron yan. Okay? So, ano-ano yung mga examples ng mga complex operations? Itong multinational companies, the San Miguel Corporations, the group of Jollibee because of the franchise operations, and also the group of SM. Yan. So, may top-level manager sila. Okay? So, pag mas maliit naman, like for example, yung isang simpleng construction supply, usually middle-level managers lang ang meron sila. And sometimes, pag mas maliit pa nga, a supervisor or an informal setup is adapted. Okay? Depende sa size ng isang kumpanya. So, managerial skills, we have here conceptual skills. That's going to be the final topic. Conceptual skills. So, dapat every manager daw should have this. Number one, conceptual skills. Enable managers to think possible solution to complex problems. Actually, managers are always required to become proactive leaders. Diba? Pag sinabi natin proactive leaders, they have a ready-made solution prior to the arise of the problem. Bago pa man dumating yung problema, meron na silang solution or sinusolusyonan na nila. It is always required so that they prevent the problem from arising. Okay? And then next is human skills. It enables managers in all levels to relate well with people. Importante sa leader that you are able to communicate well. Hindi pwedeng ayaw mo makipag-usap. Hindi pwedeng bad trip ka dito, ayaw mo, hindi mo siya usapin, it is part of your duty to communicate with everyone in the organization. Di ba? Bakit? It is also your duty to transmit information to all the levels in the organization so that they know how to act on certain situations. Okay? Next is the technical skills. These are important for It is important for managers for them to perform their tasks with proficiency with the use of their expertise. Kaya nga sinasabi natin, dapat if you become a manager, it is always important na nagsimula ka sa babae. Kasi you get to understand yung nangyayari sa baba bago ka nagsimulang umakyat sa taas. Kasi sometimes, like, sabihin na lang natin, yung ating mga politiko, if you are already mayaman, di ba, you don't know how does mahirap things. Usually, you lose sight. You lose sight nung tamang ibigay sa kanila or tamang gawin sa kanila simply because you don't understand their situations, di ba? Same thing with managers. It is always important daw that you have a knowledge with what is happening downwards bago mo upuan yung top level position, di ba? Or maybe baka galing sa labas si manager, i-hire siya as manager sa isang kumpanya, may dala ka ng experience mula doon sa pinanggalingan mo. Di ba? The reason why some managers fail at this task is because short-sighted sila sa toong nangyayari sa baba. Di ba? So technical skills is always important. Okay? So, questions, doon tayo sa ating GC. For your activities, idagdag natin. Learning task 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You need to answer that on your answer sheet. Okay? So, and then you're going to pass that on Monday. Monday pa naman ang collection natin, di ba, sa G11. Okay? So, again, question doon lamang sa ating GC. So, that concludes your week 2 supplemental lecture. So, next week ulit. Thank you.